Made it through May, almost, and perhaps you have a recent graduate that heard the phrase, follow your dreams. In today's Care About, Cara is here to explain why that actually might not be the best advice. I am so intrigued.
Well, I think it's still good advice, but this article said it might not be the best advice, and here's why.
I love it.
Okay, I ran across this article that was entitled, Why Following Your Dreams is Selling Graduates Short, and I thought, well, that doesn't sound all good, but the thought behind it and why we should or shouldn't say it is pretty good. So the authors of this article wrote a book called Life Worth Living, A Guide to What Matters Most.
Love that.
Okay, they're very qualified. They work together at the Yale Center for Faith and Culture at the Yale Divinity School, and it starts by talking about what is the most poignant thing to say to someone starting a pivotal time in their life. But then I thought this could really apply to all of us, really, quite frankly. Okay, so they basically say to reframe following your dreams, and here's why. They say deeper than our dreams is not the question of what we want, but instead the question what is worth wanting. Not what do I want, but what should I want?
Deep. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question to answer.
It really is.
They say, though, once you start to answer these questions, it will lead you to a flourishing life. It sounds lovely. A life that is well led, that is going well, and it's feeling as it should. So the article states that our desires are indeed fickle, and they can lead to us being very lonely.
Okay.
Dreams often correlate with desires. So they aren't sturdy enough to handle the weight of our lives. And when I read that, I read it 7 times. I was like, our desires are not sturdy enough to handle the weight of our lives. Woo!
Wow, I'm putting that on the fridge.
Right? Okay.
Very true.
So what do you do about that?
Right.
And why do we agree that our desires are, in fact, sometimes arbitrary? Okay.
Right.
We don't really have time to unpack all of that here because I'm not a therapist.
No, but I will quickly add in, this is what I experienced with a lot of friends when I lived in LA who were wanting to be actors and actresses and who were insanely talented.
Right.
But they just hadn't maybe had that big break that they were looking for.
Right.
And after watching them struggle and struggle, I thought, like, when is enough going to be enough? When is the weight of all of this going to just weigh you down to the point where you say, it was a lovely dream, but now my dream has to shift, or I have to pivot. And that was always really tough to watch. These people who had been wanting to be actors and wanting to do fill in the blank forever.
Right.
So when do you...
I know, do you set a timeline?
Right.
I mean, we all want to lead a life of significance and substance. So while shifting to a life worth living here, I thought it would be a good idea to tie in some wisdom from some commencement speeches in our local area. And here's what I found. Okay, so here we go. First one, the Georgia Institute of Technology. Keynote speaker was Michael Messner. He's a graduate of tech. He's a civil engineer. He said this, which I liked. He said, you can't stop learning and you embrace people with different opinions. That was a through line. I watched a lot of commencement addresses last night. That was a through line in a lot of the speeches that these very smart, intelligent people were giving, is that you need to be around people that aren't like you.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to be open-minded.
You do. And you have to grow from other people's opinions, even though you might not always see eye to eye. Harrison Butker, may have heard of him. He's a tech grad, an NFL player. His speech was really interesting, too. He said, in the end, no matter how much you attain, none of it will matter if you're alone and devoid of purpose. And I don't think he was talking about, you know, you don't have to have what a certain family should look like or a certain structure that society says that we have. I think he was saying you need to have things that fulfill you that aren't material. So
100%.
Things that you get from inside yourself that make you feel like you have some sort of purpose.
Right, but also alone, and again, he's not saying, you have to have X amount of friends, but to know that you have like a core circle that is a community, so important, yes.
It really is. One of my favorite speeches came from Chris Womack. Now, he's the CEO of Southern Company and the commencement speaker this year at Clark Atlanta University. So he's the president of an electric company, and he talked about good energy and the literal meaning of like what a transformer is and how it, changed electricity as a whole, but how we need to harness our energy and the energy in our lives productively and correctly to make the world a better place. He talked a lot about being an agent of change like a transformer, and it was really, I encourage you to Google that and watch his speech. It was really good.
I love that. I love it.
Okay, the last woman, Leah Brown, she's accomplished. graduate from UGA, orthopedic surgeon, a veteran, a collegiate athlete in gymnastics, and she just spoke of perseverance, tenacity, and she said, you know, aim high, ask those lofty questions, like, and keep asking yourself. I thought that was her through line, was that, you know, she had all these goals, but she said you really need to rebound quickly, you need to adjust your plan.
Yeah.
I like listening to, because being a competitive former athlete too, they're just a different mindset than I am, but so good to take some of that knowledge from her.
Yes, and I know that we're going to post those speeches, and that's why I was so happy Cara was doing this, because when I was out of town, Jim said he randomly was listening to speeches, and he said the best one was University of Texas, Austin, 2014 by Admiral William H. McRaven.
Nice.
We'll post that one, but such important information. How do you go about setting and achieving your goals and dreams? Tweet us your take, ATL.